Do you think your sister has ruined Prince Harry?
Well, let me answer that real quick for you. The answer is yes.
She's taking advantage of a very weakened man and getting him to say things that you just shouldn't be saying.
He's confused. He doesn't know what to say. He thinks he's going to get in trouble if he doesn't say exactly what Meghan says.
So before she met Harry, you had no doubt she was your sister?
Called her my sister. My little sister, though, I said.
There are axe murderers in prison. Their family comes to see them. I'm not an axe murderer. I made one dumb mistake.
She wants to be Diana so bad. It's kind of freaky and kind of scary.
I don't think there's any problems that can't be worked out. I've said I'm sorry about the initial problem.
And make some pathetic attempt, of course with the Netflix crew, with the hidden microphones and the cameras, she's going to try and reconcile with Dad.
Do you still love your daughter?
Of course I do. I love my children. I love my other daughter. I love my son. Of course I love them.
Hi, Daddy. I got an English award.
The way that she talked to my father, he knew it was over. He didn't know his daughter anymore because she talked down to him like he was nothing.
I'll be very disappointed that I don't get to hold my granddaughter.
Does it hurt?
Of course it hurts.
Where is Daddy? Well, I gotta zoom back on you.
Or push that button into Mac.
In my opinion, she would still be a waitress if it wasn't for Dad.
After years of hearing only one side of the story, Meghan Markle's estranged brother, Thomas Markle Jr., is finally speaking out, and the story he's telling is more explosive than anyone could have imagined. He paints a picture of a deep family tragedy, remembering a time captured on lost home videos of a loving bond between Meghan and her father, a past that he claims makes her current actions a complete betrayal.
Okay. Alright, am I there? I wonder. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye. Where is the little button? Okay, I gotta press the button now.
But before we get to those lost videos and the full story of the family's collapse, we have to start with his brutal assessment of what he believes his sister has done to Prince Harry.
Do you think your sister has ruined Prince Harry?
Well, let me answer that real quick for you. The answer is yes.
He doesn't just believe she's ruined Harry. He claims the proof is visible to anyone who even looks at the prince's face, describing a man who is a shadow of his former self.
He's confused. He doesn't know what to say. He thinks he's going to get in trouble if he doesn't say exactly what Meghan says.
This devastating assessment of Harry is just the beginning. According to her brother, this is a direct result of Meghan's own dark and manipulative character, which he is now exposing to the world. And according to him, who she truly is a bully. He alleges the public image of compassion is just a carefully constructed mask for a much harsher personality.
Is your sister a bully?
Yeah, obviously.
He claims this alleged nature stems from a deep-seated narcissism, a belief that she is a flawless main character who deserves to be worshipped.
She's a legend in her own mind. She's playing this part out like she's God's gift to the world that everybody's supposed to worship her.
This profound self-admiration, he claims, means she needs no external validation because in her world, she is already her own biggest fan.
She thinks so highly of herself. I think she is her #1 fan.
Her brother alleges this entire inflated sense of self is built on a foundation of lies, particularly regarding her rags to riches backstory.
Told so many lies to the entire world about working hard and putting yourself through college when it's all the complete opposite.
Honestly, it's hard to listen to some of this, but you have to wonder where this level of anger comes from. He claims her fantasy life isn't just about her past. It also includes a deeply unsettling obsession with becoming the new Princess Diana.
She's playing this fantasy life out in her own mind. She wants to be Diana so bad. It's kind of freaky and kind of scary.
And that obsession, he claims, fuels a dangerous jealousy towards the one woman who actually holds the position Meghan could only dream of, Catherine, the Princess of Wales.
Meghan is so jealous of Catherine, it's just very scary. It's actually very creepy.
Thomas Jr. argues this combination of alleged narcissism and jealousy results in a constant victim narrative, where she creates her own crises and then blames everyone else for the fallout.
Saying their lives are threatened, they want them dead. They create all these problems like narcissists do, and then they blame everybody else.
But this alleged pattern of creating drama wasn't just limited to her own family. The real damage, he claims, began when she entered the royal family. And according to her brother, the first casualty inside the palace was Prince Harry himself. He describes a stunning power dynamic where Meghan allegedly orchestrates every single public interaction to ensure she is the focus.
Every single interview, every place they go, Meghan controls him. Meghan tells him no. Meghan stands in front of him.
This isn't just a partnership, he suggests, but a performance where she must always be the main character.
She controls every single situation like she is the star.
This constant need for control, he argues, has completely diminished the prince. He's no longer seen as a man of action or a respected royal, but has allegedly been reduced to a simple background character in her life story.
She's turned Prince Harry into a man of non-substance who's just there as a prop in a movie for her own well-being.
This view of a diminished prince isn't just held by her brother. In a stunning statement, her own father, Thomas Markle Sr., agreed that she appears to be taking advantage of a man he sees as weakened.
She's taking advantage of a very weakened man and getting him to say things that you just shouldn't be saying on television.
The family sees this as an unbelievable tragedy. Her brother claims Meghan was handed a life most women could only dream of, but instead of showing gratitude, she chose to create chaos and isolate Harry from his entire world.
Everything every woman could ever dream of, you had, and you had to go and make accusations and be difficult.
It's a perplexing downfall, especially when you remember those lost home videos we'll show you in a second, a glimpse of a seemingly different person. But to understand the full scope of her alleged royal takedown, we have to look at how she reportedly treated its matriarch. Thomas Jr. claims that from the very moment Meghan entered the royal world, she showed a stunning lack of respect for the late Queen Elizabeth.
She disrespected Queen Elizabeth from the get-go. She mocked the Queen. She came into the royal family and thought she owned the place.
But his most shocking allegation concerns a final, brutal confrontation, which he believes was the real reason they were ultimately forced to flee the UK.
Meghan even told the Queen to drop dead on her way out. The Queen told Meghan, "Get out of my house." I think that's why they left.
This alleged disrespect for the head of the royal family, her brother claims, wasn't a one-off. It was part of a playbook she had already perfected on her own family. Her half-sister, Samantha, describes a time when they were close, before Meghan's rise to fame allegedly changed everything.
So before she met Harry, you had no doubt she was your sister.
Called her my sister. My little sister, though, I said.
And that's what makes the betrayal so painful for them. Samantha Markle has argued that without their father's support and connections in the entertainment industry, Meghan's life would have been completely different.
In my opinion, she would still be a waitress if it wasn't for Dad.
This feeling of being used and then discarded is made worse, her brother says, by Meghan and Harry's public statements that have seemingly erased her entire family's existence.
Saying that, she doesn't have a family and she doesn't have a father, and then Harry saying that she has no father now. That's just ridiculous.
He claims that when he has tried to make contact, he's been met with a bizarre wall of silence, as if he's a complete stranger.
I actually reached out. All I got back was distant family and she doesn't know us, which is just, it's just very bizarre.
He says this isn't just a simple case of not getting along. It's a calculated effort to completely erase them from her life story and her past.
She just basically brushed the entire family under the carpet like we don't exist, and then lied about not having a family. We've always been here.
But the most public and painful moment of this family erasure, he says, came with the royal wedding. It was an event where families are meant to come together, but where his was pointedly and publicly shut out, despite, he claims, never asking for anything.
Who doesn't invite their family to a wedding? It's not like anybody in my family asked her for one nickel.
The fallout from these events has been so total that her brother has now vowed he will never speak to her again, convinced her popularity has finally collapsed.
Do you think you will ever talk to Meghan again?
I don't think I'll probably ever talk to Meghan again. I think Meghan is on her last leg.
And according to him, the breaking point for his own father came down to one single, deeply disrespectful conversation that proved the daughter he once knew was gone forever.
The way that she talked to my father, he knew it was over. He didn't know his daughter anymore because she talked down to him like he was nothing.
But erasing his own family was just the beginning, her brother claims. He's now issuing a chilling warning about how she will use this same ruthless playbook on Prince Harry next.
She cut you out of her life, she cut your dad out of her life, she cut your sister out of her life. Do you think she'll cut him out of her life?
I think it's going to happen.
He is convinced that Harry's entire value to Meghan is tied directly to his royal status. The moment that connection is gone, he claims Harry is finished.
It's such garbage.
Yeah.
But I think once the titles get stripped, I think Harry's done.
It's a brutal prediction, one that's hard to reconcile with the images from those lost childhood videos we're going to show you. Clips that probably no one has ever seen, showing a happy, loving family.
Where is Daddy? Well, I gotta zoom back on you.
Or push that button into Mac.
But Thomas Jr. believes that version of Meghan is long gone, and that any future attempt she makes to reconnect with their father will be a hollow, calculated PR stunt.
Some pathetic attempt, of course with the Netflix crew, with the hidden microphones and the cameras. She's going to try and reconcile with Dad.
He is absolutely certain that this move would not come from a place of love or regret, but from a desperate need for good publicity, and that the public will see right through it.
For her own personal gain and her own personal PR. Nobody's going to believe it because nobody does. Everything that comes out of this woman's mouth is just garbage.
But his prediction predictions then venture into his most controversial and damaging territory. He casts public doubt on the very legitimacy of Meghan and Harry's children, suggesting that nothing about their family life is what it seems.
I don't think anybody knows if those children are legitimate or surrogates or what. Nobody really knows.
Legitimate or not, he claims that one thing is certain. The children are now being used as pawns in Meghan's bitter war against both the Markles and the royal family.
Now they're using the kids as pawns. My father has already given up. And it says, like, I'm never going to meet those kids. King Charles is never going to meet those children, ever.
This picture of a lonely, isolated existence is a view shared by more than just a brother. In a heartbreaking observation, her own father describes the couple as having ghosted their families completely.
Now they're alone in a huge house that they could probably accommodate 20 people in, and it's just the four of them.
He paints a sad picture of a home that should be full of life and family, but is instead empty and isolated.
But I don't think they're going to have relatives over for a barbecue tomorrow, or next week, or next month.
But while the brothers' predictions paint a picture of a cold and calculating strategist, the words of their own father reveal a much simpler, more heartbreaking story of a parent's pain. And at the heart of that story is a father who openly admits he made one dumb, regrettable mistake. But in his mind, he's now being punished more harshly for that single error than a violent criminal.
There are axe murderers in prison. Their family comes to see them. I'm not an axe murderer. I made one dumb mistake.
He feels he's been given a life sentence with no chance of parole, and the deepest pain comes from the fear that he will never get to hold his granddaughter.
I'll be very disappointed that I don't get to hold my granddaughter.
Does it hurt?
Of course it hurts.
He points out the painful irony that his daughter and son-in-law have built a global brand around the idea of compassion. Yet he claims none of that compassion is seemingly reserved for him.
They talk about compassion. There's no compassion for me. There's no compassion for my family. And there's no compassion for the royals.
Despite the years of total silence and public criticism, he maintains that his love for his daughter has never faded. He makes it clear that regardless of the drama, he is still her father.
Do you still love your daughter?
Of course I do. I love my children. I love my other daughter. I love my son. Of course I love them.
But when asked if he thinks she still loves him, he can only express a heartbreaking uncertainty. The pain is made worse when he recounts the finality of the last time he ever heard his daughter's voice. A brief conversation from a hospital bed just days before her wedding.
Do you think she still loves you?
I have no idea. I haven't spoken to her since I was laying in a hospital bed 2 days before they got married.
That hospital stay was followed by even more severe health scares, including a heart attack and a major stroke. Through all of it, he allegedly received no texts, no calls, and no care whatsoever from his daughter.
After the heart attack and the stroke, and there were still no communications or no care whatsoever, no text, no call from her whatsoever.
He seems genuinely bewildered by the unending silence and lack of forgiveness. In his interviews, he publicly states that if he even knew what he needed to do to fix things, he would do it without hesitation.
So you don't think it's possible that you're to blame?
If I am, tell me why and how. I'll fix it. I'll try to fix it.
This desire to mend fences even extends to the man who took his place at the wedding. He expresses a surprising gratitude towards King Charles for walking Meghan down the aisle.
I think we'd get along quite well, and it's unfortunate what's happened to him as well. He seems like a likable guy.
It was a moment of fatherly duty he says he would have loved to have had, but he holds no ill will towards her royal replacement.
I actually appreciated the fact that he walked my daughter down the aisle, although I would love to have done that.
His message in all of his public appearances remains simple and consistent. He insists he just wants to talk to her and prove he isn't the monster he has been portrayed as.
I do love you, and I wish we could sit down and talk about it. I'm not an ogre. I'd love to talk to her.
And even though he lives just a short drive away from her multi-million-dollar mansion, he says he would never force a confrontation, determined to respect her privacy even as he is completely shut out of her life.
Is part of you tempted to just turn up on their doorstep and knock on the door?
I'd never do that. That makes me a stalker.
When confronted with the idea that his actions may have contributed to Meghan's documented mental health struggles, he pushes back. He acknowledges the possibility, but also points out that he was always just a phone call away if she ever needed him.
Maybe, to some percentage, but she could have picked up the phone and called me at any time. She has my phone number, so no.
Ultimately, his plea always comes back to one of forgiveness and reconciliation. He seems to genuinely believe that no problem is too big to be worked out if they could just find a way to communicate again.
I don't think there's any problems that can't be worked out. I've said I'm sorry about the initial problem.
But time for that conversation is running out. He speaks with a stark realism about his own mortality and the very real possibility that, given his health and age, he will never meet his grandchildren.
There's a good chance I might never see my grandchildren. I'm not looking for pity. I'm just saying that's a reality.
He insists he doesn't want pity or to be part of the media circus anymore. His final wish, he says, is simply to share the quiet, peaceful life he's built with the family he has lost.
I'd like Meghan and Harry to come here.
This is the heartbreaking reality of today. But now, it's time to see the home video that makes this entire story a true family tragedy.
Okay. Alright, am I there? I wonder. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye. Where is the little button? Okay, I gotta press the button now.
We're about 4 minutes from my dad's house. From my dad's house, you can see the Hollywood sign.
Mom and I, mother-daughter lunch, and there's little Meg. My dad and I.
Hi, Daddy. I got an English award.
Daddy's fishing.
We're gonna catch fish for dinner, right?
Fish for dinner. Where is Daddy? Well, I gotta zoom back on you.
Or push that button into Mac.
Seeing those old home videos makes the current situation all the more tragic. It's truly sad to watch a family bond that seemed so strong fall apart so publicly. That one moment where a young Meghan finds her dad in the school audience and proudly tells him, "Daddy, I got an English award," shows a simple, undeniable connection that feels a world away from where they are now. And that's what makes this story so complicated. We can all agree that what her dad did before the wedding was a serious betrayal. But when you weigh that one mistake against his current pleas, his declining health, and the scathing testimony from his own family, it forces you to ask an impossible question. So, what do you guys think about all this? Did Meghan do the right thing by blocking her family to protect her own peace? Or did she take it too far? And in doing so, prove she really is the cold-hearted, narcissistic woman her family says she is? I would love to hear what you have to say, so let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.